And what do they do to the local gaming store? They're kind of 1.5 points, so I'm putting them together. If everybody wants Smuggler's Copter, it's because it's an OP card, not because it's in one of the top decks. It's in all of the top decks. So yes, sometimes there's going to be a card so powerful, everybody wants it because the card is powerful. But the vast majority of the time, a card is like $3, even though it's just psychotically powerful. Oh, but it wasn't in any of the top tournament decks, so now it's $2. And then you have like a mediocre card, like it's a good card, a solid card like Selfless Spirit. You know, there's nothing that special about it, it's just really good. But it's only about as good as any other really good rare, except that everybody put it in their decks. So now that everybody wants it because it's in all the top decks, oh, now it's scarce as hell and nobody can get their hands on it. So put yourself in the shoes of a local gaming store, that actually sells singles, I should say, because not all of them do. You open up 3 boxes just so you got some singles, and then you got a buy list, you take some cards in on trade, so you sell, a binder full of about 4 of every rare mythic. Maybe 8, maybe higher. Well, everybody walks in and let's say 100% of the people there run just the top 3 net decks, and that's it. Well, guess what they're out of? Every rare and mythic that goes in that deck, and then all the rest of the cards sit there. Nobody wants the rest. You could have a perfectly good card, nothing wrong with it, fantastic card in Commander, just overall solid card, like some really solid kill spell or board wipe, but the store can't even move them because, oh, everybody's net decking. They only want this exact list of cards, no differences, no variances. So what does that do? Well, it makes them less money, and the same thing scales up to huge sellers. They have to over-open. They have to open way more than they normally would, just to have enough, Gisellas and enough Chandras. Because if they sell out of Chandras, somebody's going somewhere else to buy the whole entire rest of their deck. But they will sell out of the same cards over and over and over right after a tournament occurs because everybody wants the top net decks. So it loses vendors money at the end of the day. I mean, that's the point I'm making. Sticking your local gaming store with cards and losing them money, not good if you want to, keep having a place to play, for example. So causing massively unfair card shortages is probably one of the absolute worst things about net decking, although, like I said at the beginning of this point, what effect do net deckers have on the local gaming stores? They scare away all the new players. I don't care if it's an MMO, like any kind of video game, a board game, a competitive game, a card game, anything. Hell, it could be a donut shop. I mean, a business, basically. If you're not continuously bringing in new customers, eventually your existing customers are gonna just fall off the grid. They move, they run out of money, they have medical expenses, they hate the game all of a sudden, they hate the state of standard, and they quit. So people are going to leave. You're going to lose, 5-10% of people every year, whatever. That just is. So if you're not bringing in new people, you're going to have a dead business pretty dang quick and a dead product. Like, people quit Call of Duty all the time, and if they're not bringing in additional people to play, new people, the whole thing's going to die, and they're going to shut down the servers, which is exactly what happens. So should we all be nice, and if somebody's new, we should let them win on purpose? Hell no. I have never in my life done that. I don't care if I'm playing against a 10-year-old or an extremely attractive female. Nobody's getting off the hook. I am going to demolish them. I came to play, okay? I'm not one of those, like, I have to win at all costs people, but I'm not going to purposely play worse or hold a card or cripple myself in any way when I'm testing a deck and I want to know if I can win and I want to see how well I can do. Now, if I'm already 0-3 and then I'm playing against somebody else who's 0-3, which that basically almost never happens, I might keep a slight stretch of a hand that I wouldn't do if I was 3-0. But other than that, I'm not going to like hold spells and not destroy stuff, or I'm not going to purposely pick the wrong target for a removal. No way in hell. So, am I saying net deckers just win too much? Not really, and even if that was true, and that was solely the only problem, good for them. They're outplaying everybody. They've got a better deck. They should win. It's like I said, don't dumb down your play. But unfortunately, they give the impression either quite literally by telling the person or passively that you have to buy a $500 deck or you don't stand a chance in hell in this game. Well, what does that tell people? Go find another game unless you're a millionaire. So I tell people, hey, I just came in first place with this deck that costs $12. I came in first place at F&M. Yes, the same people were here last week. So I'm sitting there spreading the truth. You can win FNM, you can play competitively with a deck that's good, that's designed to beat the net decks, or one that's just in a bubble by itself, a standalone good deck. I mean, just think, with everything everybody's playing right now, if you played White Allies with Rally, that's a good deck. That's still not a bad deck. It is dirt cheap to build, and it is a damn good deck. I mean, that thing's loaded with flyers. They're throwing counters all over the place. It's just a solid deck. The same with, what else is second rate? I'd say Blue-White Spirits, but that's pretty much a net deck at this point. Honestly, a werewolf deck that's moderately okay. That's a little weak, but Red-Black Vampire Madness. I mean, you want to talk about aggressive creatures mixed with burn, your chance of winning with that deck is pretty damn good. It might be 5 or 10% less, you know, likely to win overall than a turn 4 Emrakul, but come on, or like a turn 4 Pummeler. Oh, by the way, at FNM last week, I got beat on turn 3. This is before Aether Revolt comes out. I had 2 lands on the field. He took his 3rd turn and then beat me. That's how broken Standard is right now. I literally did not have a spell to cast. Or I should say a relevant spell. I had plenty of 2-cost spells. They wouldn't stop that. And other people have looked at Aether Revolt and they've said, oh my god, you know, all you have to do is run removal. Just run Fragmentize, just run this, run Negate. Oh, okay, I'll take somebody who built like a 40-20 deck that's absolutely perfect. It's ideal, the math is perfect. And then I'm going to run 16 to 20 removal spells and counter spells to stop what they're doing, but I'm going to have just as competitive of a deck with the remaining cards. Just think about that logically for a second. The remaining 22 cards in my deck are going to beat them, and adding the 16 to 20 cards to stop their deck had no detrimental effect on my deck to slow it down and make it less powerful and less fast. That is quite possibly the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. So the other argument that net decks can be stopped, you just need to run control. No, that is not realistic. That's not even at a basic level how decks are built. But getting back to the new people, I mean, if people are constantly telling them, oh, your deck that you're just starting to learn how to build decks and you put together a pretty good one and all your friends got together and improved your deck, and you still have literally 0 chance of winning unless you're running a net deck, that's not what you should be telling them. Not only is it unfriendly, but it's untrue. And I'm going to throw in this last point just because Tasty Snackies and some other people are this stupid. Like, if you don't believe me, go check out that idiot's channel. He thinks that anybody who disagrees with net decking for any reason, the money reason, the card shortage reason, the fairness reason, the friendliness reason, the fact that net deckers are dicks, any reason, if they have any type of reason to have an opinion that net decking is bad and that they don't want to do it, automatically they're whining that they lose too much. Well, you may have recalled that I said that I've never net decked and I have above a 50% win ratio lifetime. So that is provably not true. And I know about 10 other people like me, so that's just at the local level. They solely build their own decks. Laundry's done. And they constantly win. I mean, they are on par or better than me at deck building and playing. So there are people that consistently win without net decking. It's not like they've somehow said, I'm not going to net deck and I'm going to be a martyr because I'm going to go to every FNM and go 0-5 or 2-3 because I'm okay with never winning ever. That could not be further from the truth. I mean, look at your own local gaming store. Do the net deckers win every single time, all 8 top spots, consistently, with no variation, nobody else winning? Even with the state of my old LGS, that is not true. I would say in the top, it was about 50% rogue deckers who are just exceptional players and exceptional deck builders, myself included. So on top of lying to new players and lying to everybody else saying, oh, you got to be running one of these 5 decks, you can't win. You literally can't win. It is impossible. Oh god, I just love when those idiots say that because I go find the person and correct it real damn quick. But then they spread the somewhat valid point that, oh, standard is way too expensive. Well, yes, if you net deck, add that little extra to it, then standard is way the hell too expensive. I mean, nobody should spend that much on any of those damn decks. And plus, people who look at one tournament result and build that deck, and then look at another tournament result, and suddenly that deck's getting stomped, and so now they need a slightly 3% better deck, because it turns out those weren't the top net decks. Shocker. So now they buy like another $300-400 deck. Yes, it would get really expensive to be a stupid net decking sheep that does nothing but follow the tournaments and follow the pros, like they're the word of God. Like everything they say and every deck they build is perfect, and that's what they need to follow blindly without thinking at all. Yes, in those stupid people's cases, standard is a little bit expensive. In pretty much any other case, I tell people to play Magic because it's so cheap. And I made an entire video in the past about why that's true. But you can usually build a solid deck. Like, we're talking very competitive if you were to play it perfectly. You could probably put together a deck like that for between $15 and $50. It depends on if you really have to make it 2-color and if the 2-color fixing lands cost a fortune. That's pretty much the determining factor. But going to just, second-rate cards, which honestly are just as powerful, they just happen to not be in tournament decks, you can save a hell of a lot of money, and Standard absolutely is not too expensive. Not at all. Modern is too expensive. So the next time some net decker says, oh, you're just against net decking because, let's see, what are all the myths? Because, like, you're too poor, or you're too stupid to run a top deck, or, all the idiot things that I've heard people say about non-net deckers. Like, oh, they're just so stuck in not, not wanting to follow somebody else that they lose constantly. Just all these other things, and they're like, that's why you're against net decking. No, it's actually every single thing I said in this entire video is why we're against net decking. But, it makes sense that these people wouldn't get it because, as I've stated in the past, net deckers are typically not the brightest players. They're not the best, not the most adaptive, creative, or intelligent. I mean, I can hand a chimpanzee a powerful deck, teach him how to play Magic, and he'd probably do okay with it and think, yes, it's all the deck. I beat people with decks I build all the damn time. Oh, and just to dispel one little myth, I like to post competitive decks. I also like to post fun decks that are fun to play. Not necessarily, oh, this is my new top deck, you're the most likely to win with it. No, it's like, hey, this is a riot to play with. Build it. And then, enjoy playing Magic with it. I would say that probably 60-70% of the decks I've posted on my channel in general are just meant to be fun, like, themed decks. Like, oh yes, I like bolstering things, I like giant creatures, I like heavy control. That's my deck, I want to play that. I'm not presenting them as, oh, this is the most powerful deck ever, build my deck or you're gonna lose. In fact, there's really only 2 decks that I can think of that I've built that are, 3 actually, that are hyper competitive that will win. They are built to be the strongest, and they're what I actually play with. But of course, net deckers just, it's not even logic. It's not, oh, I thought about this logically and I made this determination. It's, I'm an arrogant jerk. I like to bully people. I like to, lord it over everybody else how much better I am than them. So I'm going to take, all these different things that I can say about non-net deckers and throw them in everybody's faces to make myself feel better. That's what it's about at the end of the day. That is the explanation of why net deckers are the way they are, and on the flip side, that's why everybody hates them. And finally, which I should have said this at the beginning, because apparently some people still don't get this, net decking, definition, someone who copies one of the top tournament winning decks. Not they saw a deck list on a forum and thought that would be fun to play, so they built it because they hate coming up with their own decks. That is not net decking. Net decking implies that you built it on purpose because you think it's the best deck and you came to win with it. That's why you brought it to FNM. Oh my god, a level 483 Charizard just spawned in my apartment backyard and I just caught it. I multitask when I'm recording. I'm dispelling myths about net deckers while doing laundry and catching Pokemon. I'm actually also cooking. So there's like 10 more things I could say to dispel the ridiculousness, all the misinformation about net decking and net deckers, but I think you guys get it at this point. You get what type of people they are and why they do what they do compared to actual reality, math, and probability, and the actual nature of the game, and what you actually have to do to win. Unfortunately, because of the wonderful winning attitudes of these wonderful net deckers, they're never going to get it. Even with the facts in their face, they're never going to admit that what they're doing is shady or wrong or immoral or detrimental to the game or rude or that their personality drives everybody else away. They're never going to admit it because in their own eyes, they're the best player in the world and they're pro level and blah, blah, blah. You guys have heard it all. That's why I hate them. That's why they're ruining the game. Plain and simple. If anybody says, oh, I'm all for net decking, there's nothing wrong with it, they are absolutely logically provably wrong. Why? Because of every single reason in this entire video, so that's why I made it. Hopefully some of you finally get it now if you were, I'd say not on the fence opinion-wise, but mostly just uneducated, because there is only one opinion to form after presented with this evidence. And if everything I described doesn't sound like your local gaming store and doesn't sound like the type of people you play with, just keep in mind that you are the exception. In general, I've been to a lot of places and talked to a lot of players. I have a pretty good grasp on what the situation is. They really are terrible people. It really does ruin the game. It really is illogical and less likely to win. It's all true. So hopefully this is the end of it. I know it's not. Why did I even just say that? I'll see you guys next video.
Welcome back, hero. The time is now, heroes. Claim the altars in.
Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and I just got done watching the trailer for Doctor Strange, and I thought, you know what else is strange? A bunch more MTG cards, so it's time to resurrect the old series. It's time for the weirdest cards in Magic the Gathering, Part 5. Let's start with a very perplexing card, Perplexing Chimera. It was printed very recently, actually, and it states whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may exchange control of Perplexing Chimera and that spell. If you do, you may choose new targets for the spell. So you don't actually own the spell, you just control it. So the only thing you're allowed to do is actually choose new targets. The problem is, once you've retargeted the spell, they now have a 3/3 Chimera. Not only that, but they could now do the exact same thing to you because you're now the opponent. So I guess it's less confusing and more just a bad card. But then again, if you had this out there and they were trying to win the game with a Crater's Claws, they couldn't because you could flip it and kill them. So a little bit of anti-magic suppression, classic blue, I guess. Next up, we've got one of my friend's favorite cards because he unleashed it on us in a Commander game actually with 6 players, and it was complete and utter madness. I'm of course talking about Conjured Currency. It costs 6